It's okay. I was just testing the microphone. It is 2 o'clock on Monday, April 28th. We can call the meeting for public property and law enforcement to order. Roll call
Laura Negro,
here.
Jerry Anderson, microphone, please.
Here.
James Schultz,
Here.
Paul Wilharm,
Here.
All right. Next is approval of the agenda. Did anybody have any questions or changes, edits? I'm looking at you three. Nothing? All right, seeing nothing. Can we do that one by consensus or do we have to do a vote? I'll just approve it by consensus then, since there was no changes. There's something in my phone. Next is election of a vice chair. I will need a nomination for or nominations for vice chair. Don't everybody run at once. You can self-nominate if you want. All you have to do is run the meeting if you get called.
I nominate myself. This is Jim.
All right. I have Jim nominating Jim. Do I have a second for that
I'll second.
in your name? If you could say your name so that way she knows.
Paul Wilharm.
Thank you. So I've got a nomination by Jim and a second by Paul for Jim to be vice chair. Is there any other nominations? Any other nominations? You other two aren't going to arm wrestle for it, huh? All right. Seeing no other nominations, all of those in favor of Jim being vice chair for public property and law enforcement, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, aye. So we have a vice chair. Thank you, Jim. Next is public comments, 3 minutes per speaker, 30 minutes limit for everybody. Is there anybody in here that wants to speak for the public? Anyone here that wants to speak for the public? Anyone here that wants to speak from the public? Seeing none, is there anybody online besides Lori? Because it does not look like it. Is he on there?
Yeah.
Is there anybody online that wants to speak during public comment? Anyone online that wants to speak for public comment? Anyone online that wants to speak for public comment? Seeing none, we can close public comments. Next is the reports and updates. Review of quarterly financials. First up is David.
Well, we have our elevator updating starting here soon, hopefully. They're talking about May 19th. And the elevator's going to be down for at least 3 weeks, or at least they're looking at 3 weeks, which is going to be a little bit of a pain in the butt, I can tell already, but hopefully that goes smoothly and it's less than 3 weeks. It needs to get inspected before we're allowed to use it, and it normally takes 2.5. Our feed water tank for our boiler sprung a leak a little while back. Luckily, we were able to patch it with a ratchet strap and a piece of rubber to hold us through. And this week we're supposed to actually have a new one put in. And I was supposed to hear from today. They were looking at like around Wednesday. So perfect timing. The heating season is winding down. I was pretty nervous. We weren't going to make it. But it looks like it's going to be all right. What else do we have here? Woodpecker got at this tree out here real bad. It needs to get taken care of. It looks like it could go down any minute. And that's going to be a hazard for people. I mean, it's aimed right at the park bench. I mean, it's hollowed right out, so that's got to get taken care of, as well as the other one over there. Yep.
Dave, does the whole tree need to come down or just that one piece?
This one here, yeah.
Okay,
It's about 1.5 feet, 2 feet up the trunk, and it's
Yeah.
almost hollow. The one over there, I'm not an arborist, I don't know. The top half
yeah,
is bad, and that's been bad. You could see the piles of wood chips below both of the trees right now. The main, for me, what I would say is this one, the smaller of the two, is necessary like ASAP.
Question. Are you gonna get a tree service to take that down, or do me and Jerry gotta come here on a Sunday and do that, or?
It's a good question. I mean, we would most likely want the stump ground out as well,
Mhm.
but
And the other question being, if they're gonna be here for one that's bad and the other one's
we would like them to
half
look.
bad, yep,
Yep.
okay.
As far as that, obviously the asphalt roof is still an issue. We're missing tabs, and that's been an ongoing issue. So that's something we still need to take a look at. Other than that, for now, I think we're okay.
Thank you. And when I did that, I said review the quarterly financials and I went right on to Dave, so I messed up the agenda. So we can go back to review of the quarterly financials.
well, as you can see, we're running a little bit under budget. We should be through 25% of it and we still have 23% available. We went through 23%. So, Brian's chief deputy is doing a great job getting a hold of all the expenses and keeping costs in line. He's scouring through all the invoices, looking at each line item and asking questions where he needs to. So we're doing pretty well.
All right. And that's all we have for quarterly financials, huh?
Mhm.
Anybody have any questions on any of that? All right. Well, since we already talked to Dave, we can have the sheriff's department report. Brian?
For this quarter, arrests 49, citations 157, complaints to investigate 211, calls for service 1,665. I'll move on to jail. This quarter, number of bookings 134, daily average held in facility 40, average held on monitor 1. Total daily average is 41. This quarter on our MAT program, was 18 people that were assessed. As far as participants, it's actually pretty low. Like I said, a few meetings ago, it's not what we expected for that MAT grant. We actually have to extend it. Not many people are signing up for it. But like I said, everybody's being assessed that comes through the jail. As far as transportation and mental health, we had one total of 10 hours, 529 miles, 0 juveniles. Warrants, we had 16 hours invested, 143. Total mileage of 6,939. Transportation total 1,753 hours total. Total miles transported 7,468. Our inmates broken down by race this quarter: Native American 15, African American 1, Caucasian 21. And that's that for that.
Do you guys have any questions for him? I do. So calls for service, why does that seem like a lot? Or is it just pretty normal?
That's pretty average, normal. That's picking up, usually picks up in the spring too. People get cabin fever, our calls go up.
And then, what else did I want to ask? You said with the mat treatment, 18 were assessed, but they don't want to be on the program? Was that?
Well, they have to choose I mean, that's where they see
Yeah.
the doctors and they can get approved for getting, whether it's Suboxone or something that's offered. Most of them don't.
Any
We have several
particular
counseling
reason?
programs in jail. I mean, we have several programs, I think, where
Yeah.
people would go that option, it sounds like, but
Okay,
I don't know. So given the low numbers, we didn't reapply for the following year. I think with other options we have, as far as our opiate money, if we needed to, somebody really wanted to, we got a burst of people that wanted to participate, we can go that route instead of having a grant that, like I said, we had to extend it now.
yeah. All right. Just other options, huh? Interesting. All right.
As part of that, like, yeah, I just want to touch what Dan said too, as well. Our chief deputy is doing great. He's gone through a lot of the numbers, found a lot of things where we could save money. We've actually actively, are finding grants like we usually do. Instead of coming to the county, I found a $16,000 grant through our Badger State Sheriff Association. We're using to buy flashlights for the deputies and possibly an infrared drone. We like to put one in the southern part of the county and one in the northern part. One of our other ones doesn't have the infrared, so it's all dated. And then Dave is applied for something through Tamarack. They offer some grant money. So we're waiting on that. As far as the decision on what we're gonna use that for, I'm not sure. We haven't really sat down and talked about it. Other than that, like I said, we're contracting with Mellon yet. I'm in conversation with them, so being in such a small town, I'm having a hard time having deputies want to patrol that area. They blink their eyes and they're gone. They don't want to be stuck in that little sector. So I'm trying to work out arrangement, and I think they're going to be on board. Their council has to decide, but put a part-time deputy there because they're required, because they're a city, to provide law enforcement, not a specific amount. So I can have a deputy that would give them half the time and everybody be happy over it. And they're going to save money out of the deal as well, which they want. So,
But otherwise that situation's going well.
yeah. That's about it. We're ready for summer.
Jim, you have something?
Yeah, you were talking about a infrared drone.
Yeah,
You don't have one.
we do.
Oh,
We have
okay.
2 drones right now. One
Yeah.
of them's infrared. The other one is older and outdated.
Yeah.
So like I said, we want to get one more infrared. And then, like I said, most of the time, we never know. I mean, where we're gonna have looking for people. So we'd leave one down in the
Yep.
southern part, one of the offices or satellite offices, and one in our office up here. And we have 2 trained operators right now. Actually I have 3. And they can, whenever we have a search and rescue, they can grab it. Oh, also our K9 is gonna be done training this month. He's been there since January. It's doing very well. And I gotta go to his graduation in Minneapolis in a couple of weeks. So,
Take pictures and bring them back.
we'll put them on, we usually put stuff on Facebook, so we'll put some on there. Our page, pictures of him and the dog. So,
It's exciting. It gives us another tool
yeah, yep,
and a nice little PR piece for the
yeah.
kids and such.
And he actually purchased a box of canine dolls. We put them on our Facebook page. He's selling those go to the program for his future trainings or whatever else. He's charging $25 for those. We're looking into starting a canine foundation as far as for fundraising. Has spoken to other agencies at his training and it's worked out very well. We're limit our costs and possibly maybe give us another canine in the future. But it's something we'd have to sit down, figure out the legalities of it and talk to our corporate counsel, how we would set that up. If we choose to do that.
The reason why it sparked my interest on the drone part there, I was just talking to my nephew a couple days ago. Lives down by Marshfield and is on the EMS squad, and he was just telling me how, well, recently that they've did a search and rescue for 2 people and found them within a couple hours instead of possibly, hours and hours or days or whatever.
Yeah.
So when you happen to mention that, just kind of sparked my curiosity, and as long as you got the proper training, they can make them do grid patterns and whatever they need to do there. So I thought that was really, really kind of neat, how that technology can really help out on emergency situations like that.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Even in our lake rescues too. I mean, we've used them as well. And it helps a lot. I mean, as far
Yeah.
as getting that territory covered faster.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions or comments? All right, Christina, you're on.
There is one more to do with the sheriff's department.
Okay.
Erica, do you want to tell them about the congressional request?
Christina,
Is she going to talk on it?
she was submitted that.
No, the ice sled.
So one of the earmarks that we submitted for the county through Tammy Baldwin's office in early April was for a new wind sled or ice angel for the fire department. We've got good letters of support behind us. We have a couple of other documents that are I think worthy of crossing our fingers, hopefully, if they do not get signed off with another continuing resolution like this here. So we're requesting, I think it's almost $700,000 for a brand new Ice Angel to replace our 22-year-old Ice Angel, something that usually only has a shelf life of 7 years, but they have lovingly taken care of it. So crossing fingers on that. And then I'm also creating a sort of grant schedule for other possible opportunities that we can apply for that. Those are much smaller grants. Like it would not pay for the entire thing. We would have to cobble together several in order to even get close to the total.
Thanks for doing that.
Sure.
Yeah, we were getting, Dan and I from the fire department, few emails of all the repairs they were doing on this older, they said a 22-year-old wind sled. And then given how old it is, that most of the new ones have like a shock system when they're hovering over all that ice like that, or it's broken up. They're like, it's a rough ride when we're going far out. So, and then I had mentioned to Dan and as well, we should pursue some kind of grant thing. So hopefully we get it for them. Otherwise, like she said, they're pretty expensive if the county ends up having to buy one of those for the fire department.
We're responsible for that?
Well,
Yes and no.
yeah, well, that was 22 years
Well,
ago. Yeah.
Well, Les Aspen got, not Les Aspen, what's his name? Dave Obey got the last one through
Oh.
earmark. The ice sled, Bayfield County helps pay for it, and the city of Ashland also helped pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
But because most of the bay is in Ashland County's territory, jurisdiction,
Outside 100 feet,
outs-
we have all territory of the county.
right, but part of it belongs to Bayfield too, so that's
Yeah.
why they chip in.
Okay. So
But
it's
if we can get
slightly a group effort?
Well, Bayfield County passed a resolution in support of it,
Okay,
and so did Iron County,
all right.
and so did Bad River.
But what's helped us a lot is Madeline Island has one as well. The majority of the time when it's farther out, they get there first, their fire department. But they've had some, a lot of saves over the years.
Awesome. All right, Christina, let's try it again.
Okay. I have, since we didn't meet last time, I kind of have I'm taking off of both sheets here. Hazard mitigation plan was completed and sent to FEMA for approval. It since recently got sent back because apparently FEMA wants us to take out anything that has to do with like global warming. We have to go through it and take a bunch of stuff out. I have been talking with Northwest Regional Planning about how we're going to exactly do that. Consolidated PSAP, it's obviously together, you guys know that. Megan Quadrer, the other emergency management director, took over as a director of the PSAP. EPCRA and EMPG grants, I did both, close them both out, and they didn't come back with any corrections, which is huge, which was exciting. Outreach, I was doing Turnaround Don't Drown last year. I was able to get grant money to get signs, 21 flooded Turnaround Don't Drown signs, the bolts and the posts, and they were to be delivered to the highway department. Unfortunately, the ground froze before they could put them in. Now that it's spring, they got them all in. There's 20 of them. Well, I don't know if they put up all 20, but there's several of them around our county. I'm hoping to get with Matt and do a little press release thing on that. We did a winter safety program at the high school. We had the emergency management escape room that we used at Halloween. We had the highway department with their big snowplow, an Ashland deputy, the Wisconsin State Patrol. And we talked to over 40 kids about winter driving safety and being aware of your surroundings while you're in a car. I attended Youth Apprenticeship Day and a career fair to promote EM careers and our new emergency alert system that is now up and running. So I'm working on doing outreach to promote that. I just did a Skywarn training in Mellon last week at the Morristown Hall. So that's where you can become an official storm spotter. I have done a bunch of trainings, went to the Emergency Management Government Conference. I went to the 2025 pipeline training. I've attended all of the Northwest Regional WEM monthly meetings. That's a grant requirement. Fire Association EMS Council meetings. I've also been attending the Gitchagumi Search and Rescue meetings. They're trying to get that off the ground in our area. So I've been trying to be involved in that. As they mentioned, we did not obviously get the congressional direct spending from last year, but Senator Baldwin's office reached out and asked me to please reapply because that was something she was really excited about, our radio system. So I reapplied. I updated a lot of the quotes that we had previously with new quotes. And I'm currently looking for some small grants just to help with different outreach things. And I believe that's all. Any questions?
Questions? Thank you, Christina. Next, Dan, you're up with Space Needs Study Update.
Okay, I'll be brief on this. The architects who are conducting the space needs study will be at the board meeting tomorrow, giving a full presentation. So we're kind of at the halfway point here on this, where they've talked to all of the departments and they've toured all the facilities and they're starting to look and see at what do we need for space. Tomorrow they're going to brief the whole board on what they're seeing, see what the board is maybe thinking or possibly what direction they might want why not would be leading. But the long and the short of it is there are some of our, and this document kind of confirms it. There are some of our offices that are just way too crowded. The worst example is the DA's office. They're literally sitting on top of each other up there. They are definitely would need space. And then HHS, they just have no space to store any of the stuff that they need. For example, they give out child safety seats to people. They had COVID tests. They had all these things that they get from the federal government to hand out to people, and there's no space for it. And then people are still sitting on top of each other in that building. We are strapped for space in this building. I don't think there might be one empty spot left in here. The surveyor's office. So it makes it very hard for to do anything here. So and of course, child support is actually too small, and we've been told by DHS long before I got here that it needs to be
Yeah.
moved into a bigger spot. So yeah, so the particular numbers are right here. Like I said, the company will be here tomorrow morning to do a presentation on it. There'll be two presentations tomorrow. This will be the second one. And so I guess I'll let them, the experts, really tell you more about it. But I can answer any questions you have.
I see head shaking. So it's going to be me again. With these guiding principles, is this the only thing that Wolda's looking at? Are they looking at our systems and things like that?
Oh
also?
yeah, they are looking at the HVACs and stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and everything else. Yeah.
Yeah. As if they can figure out the ages on those, what kind of
Right.
schedule we should have everything.
Some of that stuff we've already worked on.
Yeah.
So actually Dave can talk, like the boiler in this building. I mean, we already had the tubes inside it replaced a couple years ago, and we're taking care of the water tank, well, hopefully this week.
I will say though, the rest of the system that's buried in the walls hasn't been touched,
I know.
and
And that's
it's not the
amazing.
best quality water.
We know during meetings how wonderful that sounds.
Right. And we all know that's going to be an extremely expensive fix if we do something about that. I mean, because the pipes are literally running through all the walls. But they are going to look at what they can. And as far as things like HVAC and other buildings, I mean, we're already working on the sheriff's department as it is.
Yep.
And the sheriff is busy getting quotes from other companies. So we might be able to save some money on that one.
Is there anything that needs to be highlighted on this report?
No, I think just like looking at some of the individual ones, like the child support one and the DA's one, zoning we have problems with just because of safety.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, zoning office is located on the backside of the building on the first floor, to the right of the stairs. It's kind of out of the way completely. So if a person were to go in there angry, it's not the people in there are kind of isolated. So we're kind of worried about safety in that one because we have had unhappy people in this building before. Luckily, the sheriff's office responds immediately, but it's not uncommon. So we are worried about that one because of the location. I'm not going to talk about that one. We know, like the clerk's office. I mean, she's statutorily required to keep records forever. Beyond all of our lifetimes, and we're running out of space for a lot of that stuff.
Do they have to be paper? Or can they be OCR scanned?
They can, it's a good question.
So
A lot of it we have in books already. That's the thing.
we started digitizing.
Yeah.
We're running out of room and, we're starting. Our upstairs, just throw it out there, that there's trainings on that for, Lacey to figure that out.
Yeah, and Brian also has issues with his garage. That's why we passed that abandoned property ordinance a few meetings back. So the sheriff's department can start getting rid of stuff that is, there's no reason for us to keep
Yeah,
and take up space. But right now he can't park a vehicle in the garage. So, so there are issues that definitely issues around that they brought up. And like I said, they'll be able to go into more greater detail tomorrow.
yeah.
See, Dan, or
Yes, sir.
There you go.
I'm sure I'm not the only or the first one to think about this, but when you start talking, hundreds of thousands of dollars for fixes here, this department and that department is running out of space. The sheriff's department is lacking of space. So, any thoughts or possibilities of that Northland College campus complex there?
Northern College, I can tell you what I know. The Board of Trustees has a fiduciary responsibility to the students until school ends. And therefore they cannot engage in any conversations or planning until school is over. So they're not willing to talk about anything. I will say, other than some outlying properties they have, those are going up for sale. Things like the President's House, which doesn't really fit the academic
Yeah.
part. They own some property on the White River that's going up for sale. And they own some property in Sawyer County that's going up for sale. But as far as the campus proper, they can't even think about it right now on the voice of their attorneys.
And there is some issues with some of that, like the housing there is not ADA compliant, and there's some, probably about 3 weeks ago, the Ponzio had a whole bunch of flooding downstairs, and that is a regular occurrence. So,
There is a deferred maintenance issue on some of the buildings too.
yes, deferred maintenance. That was good.
Yeah, that's kind of like what we have. But as far as like some of the problems, one of the things we've discussed is putting up a pole shed at the highway department. That way it's behind locked gates, and then the sheriff can put property, tow cars there or put other property in that shed. It could be locked, and like it's a convenient location for sheriffs because it's halfway down. So that's one of the options we're looking at for that. So, but of course, it's comes down to dollars and how much we're willing to levy.
Yep. Where are we? I just scrolled to the bottom of that, so. Any more questions on that space needs study? Okay. Next is discussion of action items, approval of Public Property and Law Enforcement Committee meeting minutes from September 30th. And I will poke in here a little apology for being sick with COVID. I went to sleep on Saturday and woke up on Monday. So and I think it was partway through the meeting that I woke up for that last meeting. Do I have a motion to accept them or any corrections for those meeting minutes from September 30th?
I'll make a motion to accept them.
Jerry? Jerry makes a motion to accept them.
I'm gonna abstain because I wasn't at the meeting.
Paul is abstaining.
Is Jim, I'll second it then.
There we go. We'll get this yet. So any questions on those meeting minutes? All right. All those in favor of approving them, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Paul's abstaining and 3 votes for yes, so they pass. Good click. Next is Sheriff's Department HVAC.
Just waiting on one other quote. It'll be our third quote. The 2 first quotes from Jamar and KVK were kind of, they were the full rip out install, they'll redo everything. We had Johnson Control come, and they were like, well, there's a lot of good things here that we don't need to touch. And I kind of like, we think we're going that route to save money. So the issue at hand is they got to hire engineer to do the blueprints and what they would do. So we're just waiting on them. I think we're gonna invite them to the finance committee, right? Dan?
Yeah, we're gonna invite them to the finance committee because we have to approve hiring an engineer to get a quote. So KBK and Jamar both have engineers on staff, so they can provide a quote easily. Johnson Controls doesn't have one on quote, and they go through a bid system for the lowest bidder. So we'd be taking a chance on the cost of an engineer, whether we'd be saving any money, and that's why we're bringing them to finance committee.
Suppose there's not a borrow an engineer plan someplace.
No, unfortunately, each system's different, and
Right.
each building has different load capacity, so.
All right. Any questions about that for Brian?
Oh, I will say that when the final quote comes in, the entire county board will have to approve it.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be in the hundreds of thousands, if not $500,000 plus range.
Oof.
So.
All right. On that wonderful note, there is approving the hazard mitigation plan. Thanks for scrolling up at the right time. I forgot what it was. I knew it was hazard, but yeah.
Do you want to pass on this?
Do you have your mic?
Sorry. I think we should probably skip this just because we have to not redo the whole thing, but pull out.
Oh.
Northwest Regional Planning is working to pull out all the parts that we're not allowed to have in there now.
All the words. Okay. Thank you.
I think weather resilience is allowed.
I've got another phrase, but it's not appropriate for here. All right, schedule the next meeting date. Usually it's in 3 months. The calendar's on here. That's right. So the usually first Monday in July, or third last Monday in July. Like I said, FCC paperwork all day.
July 28th.
Does that work for everybody? Do you mind if we move the meeting back to like 4 o'clock? Because we're killing part of my day at work. I'm trying to write 7 different contracts for meal plans and such. And I know I'm gonna have some more grants to write at that time too, because that's when everything is starting to roll over. Do you guys mind 4 o'clock?
Paul, the ferry runs late then.
It does, so.
Are
Okay,
you okay with
no-
that then?
No, 4 is no conflict.
Okay,
all right. And you can always zoom in
do-
too if you want.
Jerry?
Fine by me.
All right, I appreciate that.
I'll make it work.
So thank you. 4 o'clock on July 28th, you said, correct?
No, we physically lock them. So the doors will have to stay open while we're in the committee's meeting. Yeah.
Okay, because out and lock the doors.
Yeah, it's a public meeting, so the doors have to stay open.
I appreciate that. And I just closed my stuff. Are we just to the? We're just to the closing the meeting then? Not that I think we'd have to do that because I'm pretty certain we're just ran out of agenda. Anyways, that's the end of the meeting, guys. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Just a formality, can we get a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion. Is Jim to adjourn?
I'll second it.
All right. Motion by Jim and second by Jerry. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Thank you very much. Anybody opposed want to stay a little longer?